Cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Tuesday, December 10th. Happy Tuesday morning to all of you. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. A big card today that includes 12 NHL games. I woke up very early. I've capped them thoroughly, but I've only made two bets. We'll continue talking about spots that maybe I jump on. In NBA, we have four games, and I didn't get as much time as I would have wanted, so I'm going to need to talk those out. We're going to start with NHL, then we're going to get into NBA. Teddy Cover's going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit more NBA, and then we will move on to NCAA football, bowl situations, NCAA basketball, and we will join into NFL conversations with Teddy Cover. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Dan Kelly, first in the chat, says respect the work. First in the chat, Dan Kelly. What a night Dan Kelly had last night. Wow, what spectacular capping. All right, well, let's start with the Vegas Gun Award. First off, let's talk honorable mentions. Canadian Capper 72, honorable mention. The Big Beaver NHL player prop of the night, Mark Giordano, over a half power play point at plus 400. Cashed. The breakdown was succinct and sharp, and it was a great job, Canadian Capper. Had our Vegas Gun Award winner not been so excellent, you would have been the winner. Another honorable mention goes to Gas Station Sushi, and already a winner of the Vegas Gun Award for capping excellence. He max bet first half Sacramento Kings, something that Dan Kelly was on. His only loss was Magic first half. He had the under in the first half in Jazz and Thunder. Under in first half Warriors. Grizzlies, I had the full game under, cashed easily. Under in the first half Eagles, Giants 22.5. Only one blemish, that being the Magic first half. But we can go no further before we award the Vegas Gun Award for excellence in capping to Dan Kelly. Thunder money line plus 315. Sacramento Kings as well. Man. Big money line spots for Dan Kelly, who we're so thankful to have him in our chat, breaking down basketball with us. Dan Kelly, the winner of the Vegas Gun Award for excellence in capping. Continue doing what you do, Dan. We're all thankful to work with you. Let's give a big shout out to all the cappers we have in the chat. Paulo Marquez says Dallas Stars have become the next team to fire their head coach this season, dismissing Jim Montgomery. That's shocking to me. Montgomery, to me, now I know Montgomery was coming out of college, but he was demanding accountability from guys that just don't give it to you in Ben and Sagan. I think this is a mistake. Now, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on in the Dallas dressing room. But big move. But thank you for sharing that, Paul Marquez. I did not know that. Yenny Toon in there says, great UEFA Champions League game today. Already on Liverpool moneyline, Ajax moneyline. It's my guy, Yenny Toon. There's Nilo in the house. Cobra Sports 609. There's Dave Burke. Berkey in the house. If you want to see Dave Burke, he's hosting for a very funny comic Brian Hatt, the Toronto Yuck Yucks this week. I believe Berkey's on the Friday night or the Saturday night, but it's a downtown Toronto hot club, and you're hosting MC, your hostess with the mostest. Will be Dave Burke. Omar J. Legend in the house says Capitals kind of stink at home. I don't know if they do. I think the road home dichotomy will balance out, but man, Jackets first period, and I lose on the under 6, 2-0 going into the third period, but it again tells you, if you are on the under 6 and the Capitals are behind, take the over right away. I should have live bet the over. Very unlucky, but when Ovechkin scored 40 seconds in, I was like, oh, I'm screwed here. All right, Joe Anisi in the house. Dave Burke says those Eagles last night, man, what a struggle that game was. Man, watching Jay sitting on that $3,600 money line bet on Eagles and not panicking. People telling him hedge, do this, do that. He just stayed the course. Much respect to Jay, star of the live line. I had a great time on the live line last night. JF says, Jimmy, great spidey senses on the Bruins. My senses failed me. You know, sort of, JF, if I had have taken the Ottawa Senators. I knew enough to stay off the Bruins, but I took the Lightning. Dogs were eating last night. I loved last night's NHL card. And the Lightning, my morning show was really sharp yesterday. It was my additions on the later in the day that hurt me. Heart and Hand in the house. Denver, Philly under 206 as well as the Charlotte over 118 first half. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that from Heart and Hand 777. Let's copy and paste that right now. Heart and Hand's action copied and pasted. Copied Nicholas Fogg in there. Steve Overlay top set. Carlos Perot says took it out and lost the under. Damn empty netters. It was just the Capitals are just so dangerous when they have the empty net as well. It's a problem. Dab Fen, Eagles second half saved the week. Shout out to Dab Fen. Good work. Getting that cash. Nice spot there. Yellow Jesus here to bless our picks. Jay Vegas has loved Tampa Bay's road dog in Florida tonight. Pens Habs over 6.5. Seems like an early Christmas gift. Jay Vegas, I'm on the under 6.5. And Matt Murray won't be in goal. I don't believe. We don't have I shouldn't say won't be, like I'm the one making these decisions. I expect Tristan Jarry to be in goal. I expect Tristan Jarry and Carey Price to put on a show. I love the fact that I got a 6.5. Love it. And so, Jay Vegas, I don't like going up heads up against you. I can understand why you like Tampa Bay as a road dog after losing 5-1 last night. We're going to talk about that game. Jeff Joseph cashed my nice parlay. I was thinking about you, Jeff Joseph. Man, we talked about it on the live line because you got the Jackets in, and then we needed the Eagles to come back. So great job, Jeff Joseph. Yellow Jesus, play today, Sixers and the under. We know one person who is going to be betting against his Philadelphia 76ers, that being Prince of the City, who will be live at that game tonight. Prince of the City will be live fading his hometown team because that's how Prince of the City parties, man. And I find it very humorous. Jimmy Gomez in the house says, hope everyone is blessed this morning. Much love to you. David Stewart. Clip. It's a nice job, David Stewart. Yeah, you were sharp. Very sharp yesterday. Brant Hunt in the house. Said, Nut Flush on. Called the Eagles comeback last night in that live show. Yeah, man, Nut Flush is the truth. Vaughn Polo says, thank God the Detroit Pistons cash plus 105. That was a tough game, man. I wasn't watching it live, but I was following it. God, how did the Pistons not smash that team in the mouth? I don't know. An American in the house. Darius Slayton, 2 TDs for plus 2,000? See, oh, man, An American. I did not know you were on that prop. Unbelievable. Slayton's good, man. Auburn's Darius Slayton is good. Sean Glass, Dave Chamilio, Nutflush Allen. In the house, Pie Guy 9871, live bet Eagles plus 200 to cap off. Good night. Great job, Pie Guy. Silver Malco, Stu Boo, Dan Kelly. He said for that one thing. All the little people out there. Dan, what? Oh, God, I love it. I love that. Brooklyn Funk Project, Canas Cat in the house. NHL Parlay Bagger. Nice to see NHL Parlay Bagger with a Viper NB Rico money ready to get to work. Ready to, David says, I still get those emails. Yeah, I still get those emails. I thought about asking to stop getting the emails because I haven't worked in that club in over 2 years, but I really fuck it. Why not? Why not know that Dave Berkey is hosting for the Legend Brian Hat this evening? Why not know that, Dave? Because if I was in Toronto, I'd be down at that show watching you and Babsy Hat in action. John Salazar in the house. Nasty Nate, my guy, Nasty Nate, ready to get to work. Much love to you, Nasty Nate. Colf Coleone, ready to go. Russ B. A.M. Russ B. A.M. Dom Ricci, Matt Randall, Dadfire TV, Rye Cape. The team is coming together. Eric Jones. And Dan Kelly posted 2 NBA second half picks in the chat during the game last night. They both won, but you were too busy to know this. Hey, Dan, I'm sorry. I need to focus more on Dan Kelly, and my life would be better. Toby Lane says, Cowboys tonight, guys. They look great on that road trip. 3-1-0 road trip. I just don't like taking teams at home on their first game back of a road trip, but we are going to talk about that. Dave Burke, Raptors only beating the Bulls by 1 point last night, like a 20-point loss to any decent team looked bad. Hey, Berkey, I hear that, but hitting the under felt real good. Although I ended up, my 2 additions in NBA both blew up in my face. The under in the Rockets game blew up in my face. The Denver Booker prop I missed by a half point. The Cavaliers' first quarter was just trash. I mean, that's just I got to stop. I have got to stop. It's not the Cavaliers of last year that were fighting. And I feel bad for Bayline because of that. B. Fox says, Avs are banged up. They sure are. I pushed the Calgary bet. I probably should have just gone money line of plus 140. But no, I wanted a big score. I wanted a big score last night. And I didn't get it. Von Post, hockey dogs were eating last night. NBA dogs were eating last night. It was a fun night of sports, man. It was a fun night of sports. Dave Tremiller took the Eagles in the under. Nice work. And there's Matt Randall. What up, guys? Been a busy time for me, but glad to be here today with all of you. We're glad to have you. Joe Anisi, work play of the day is it? We have our first big play of the day in. Knicks +9 and -110. Joy putting in that work, son. All right, copy and paste that right under Heartland 77's action. David Stewart on the Nuggets over 205.5 and Blazers under 220. Going to copy and paste that as well right there. Copy and paste it as well. Nutflush on says, I put on a live show last night when the Eagles were down 17-3 and they would come out and catch the balls. They were dropping and win that game. Live bet. Great job, Nutflush Allen. Great job. All right, let's get to work. John Salazar said Bucks didn't cover, which was surprising. Yeah, it was, but Farshad Asami said on the Late Show, he said, I want the Bucks first half -7. That play was green lit by Dan Kelly in the chat. And Farshad even said when we were doing live line, he's like, you saw Dan Kelly say that he liked that Bucks first half. You should have jumped on, and I should have jumped on. Sports have balls. Says Dallas fired Jim Montgomery. I don't like it. I don't like that firing right now. Nutflush on says, just a heads up as we approach college football games, do your research. I will try to help, but it's Mando that we track the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinators that have been let go or moved on. I agree. It's Mando. My guys. Viper MB says, stop taking trash teams in the first quarter. I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to stop taking the Cavaliers in the first quarter. Because look what the Columbus did for me in the first period at +160. Look, I'm going to go after road teams, or I should say big dogs, first periods, first quarters. I'm not going to stop. I will stop with the Cavaliers, Viper. I will stop. I'll stop with the Cavaliers. Dom Ricci, my guy, had fun last night on Live Line after lighting up talking about comedians. It was fun. It's whatever. I don't want to get away from sports, but I enjoyed that very, very much. Kenneth T says we got an NCAA game at 11 a.m. in 47 minutes. So I have not capped. I focused on these 12 NHL games and the NBA game. But what we'll do is we'll have Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers will be in, and Teddy Covers will be here in 37 minutes, and we'll go after that. Silver Malco, have you had a look in the Canucks-Leafs game tonight? I have had a mighty look at that game. All right, let's get to work. Let's get to work right now. And that fire cashed big off that Raptors under 214. I love seeing that fire TV. Rye Cape says Prince of the City hates on Phillies teams. I find it very funny. Ben Sports 24/7 liking Butler +6. Butler +6. And Eric Jones ready to get to work. Dom Ricci liking the Rangers under. I've decided, Dom, that I will not take unders in Rangers games if King Henrik is in net. I only want Georgiev. So I've gotten off that. Okay. There's a Pie Guy, Columbus first period. What a sharp bet. Pie Guy, I think I would say it was a really sharp bet had they not won the full game. But I liked the spot there. Anytime a team goes out west and sweeps, which is rare, then they come all the way across the continent feeling good about themselves. Fade them first game back, especially the Jackets who are sitting there brooding on the East Coast or on the Eastern Seaboard after that 5-1 loss in Florida. All right, one for the money. Let's get to work. Prince of the City Skins money line. And Dan Kelly says, there's no bigger Cav fan in the world than me. I entered the contest, named the team when I was 15. My biggest NBA future that I'm holding now is Cavs team under 24.5 wins. That's a beauty. Okay, let's get to work. Felt Bandit, love my Jazz, cannot back them right now. I agree. Oh, and AM is on Twitter. There we go. AM plus money. I like the handle. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. I will follow you right after the show. Okay, let's get to work. Oh, and the Flying V play of the day, Panthers Lightning over. God, because Bobrovsky's been so good, though, Yellow Jesus. Do you think maybe Bobrovsky's turning it around? I mean, what, he stopped 63 of the last 65? Okay, that was a little too long on the intro, but let's get to work. Put some black tape on your webcam. He says, Paul Costa, Pats are watching. They're always watching. Kevin Lima says, what's going on with Parlay Poppy? We're waiting for Parlay Poppy. They no longer have that office. That company's no longer rolling. They shut down that company. So we're waiting for Parlay Poppy to get a spot to shoot in. But man, Parlay Poppy's a big part of our family, and I wish he was more in the chat. I'll reach out to him. Jay Vegas says that early game, NCAA game, Bryant 4 to -6 and -115. We will talk to our guy about that. All right, Mark and Kafer says get to work. Let's do it right now. Okay, so Giant, and there's Junior Brown in the house. Thank you for joining us, Junior Brown. We have a giant. I feel like I should get an NBA right now that Junior Brown's with us, but we're going to keep the schedule that we have, focusing on NHL right now. My NHL record is, it's getting worse. It went down less than half a unit, but God, it's now just a little over 1 unit a profit this year, and I hate it. Rafa, can we see this NHL record? I've yet to get hot. Which will happen at some point. There's Jimmy J in the house. Dom Reed said Poppy moved offices in the middle of relocating. I talked to him on Sunday. He'll probably be back real soon. Thank you, Dom. We can't wait to have him back. Okay. I agree, Dan. They're keeping Garrett, firing Montgomery. I don't like the Montgomery firing. I don't like it at all, but I don't know the inner workings. All right, let's start with that Lightning Panthers spot right now. Tampa Bay, Florida. Let's bring up the best odds page on the planet, Sportsbook Review odds, sportsbookreview.com. We're going to go to money lines and totals and break down this 12-game NHL card. 12-game NHL card starting with Lightning Panthers. Florida opens up at minus 111. They're now at minus 107. There's been a 4-cent move towards the Lightning at Pinnacle. This total opened at over 6.5 at minus 115. It's now over 6.5 at minus 117. But there's actually been a lot more move on this total than it looks. So it got up to minus 135. Wow. It got up to minus 135 at 1:30 p.m. yesterday. That under at plus 117 is very appealing. The under at plus 104 is not something I'm going to make a move with. Rod Zawacki also liking the over 6.5 right now. Okay, Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, Lightning just continue to underwhelm. 14-11-3 overall, 7-6-1 on the road. Panthers 15-9-5. They're better than that record indicates. And I blame Ekblad. I'm surprised Yandel is putting up the points that he's putting up, but I blame their defense. An NHL parlay bagger says Panthers always give Tampa problems at home. Game over, and Panthers is a spot. There's Raven in the desert joining us. Raven in the desert in the house. I love seeing that. And Nasty Nate says Parlay Poppy's sewing his pubes together for his new wig. There's Nasty Nate letting us know exactly what Parlay Poppy's up to. Just simply spending a lot of time sewing his pubes together. Okay, Jin Rami says this total is fair. At plus 117, I probably, if I was given a plus 117 right now, if the over gets smashed, I may make a move on the under because Bobrovsky's been so good of late. So bad this year, 3.24 goals against average, 893 save percentage. Panthers 24.2%, power play 84.7%, penalty killing. I expect them, if Bobrovsky gets hot, to go on a real run. The Florida Panthers could easily be what the Carolina Hurricanes were last year. Vasilevsky, 907 save percentage. It hurt not having him in the game. Lightning second half back-to-back. Ugly 5-1 loss. Lightning penalty killing 78.75%. Not good enough. 29% power play. Panthers coming off 5-1 home win over the Sharks on Sunday night. They're feeling good about themselves. Florida and Tampa have not met since the first 2 games of the year. That was an exciting home and home. Lightning won at home 5-2. Panthers came back at Sunrise 4-3 2 days later. Panthers 3-1-0 on this 9-game homestand. This is when you want to back. This is when you want to back the Panthers. I can understand the Lightning are angry, and because they're angry, I'm probably not going to get on the Panthers here. But games 5, 6, 7 of a 9-game homestand. Now this is the longest homestand in franchise history. All right, Anna Merrick's already got the UFC 245 pick. Thank you for sharing that with us. I will copy and paste that. Kai, Cara France, copy and paste that right now. Look, Zombie Pie now says, hi, I'm Felt Bandit's girlfriend. Is he behaving himself? Yes, he is. Felt Bandit is a enormous asset to our team here, Zombie Pie. An enormous asset to our team here. Behaving himself, yes, and leading by example. And his insights, sharing his insights with us and putting money in our pockets. That's what your boyfriend is doing. And thank you for joining us as well. Couples that cap together stay together. So I love seeing you guys together. All right, let's get back to this Lightning spot here. Bobrovsky, 63 of the last 65 shots faced last weekend. He stopped. It was the first time all year that the Panthers have allowed fewer than 2 goals in consecutive games. I'm telling you what, I'm not going to take the Lightning under any circumstances. But they're angry. They're angry. And that's keeping me off the Panthers. Let's move on to the first spot on the card. We already talked about I don't like Jay Vegas on the other side of it. I'm on the under 6.5 at minus 113 in Habs, Penguins. And play of the day for NHL is the Panthers over 6.5 from Jimmy Gomez. Wow. Von Polo says, Jimmy, you should bet Amanda Nunez this weekend. I should. I probably should tie her into a ton of parlays is what I should do. Thank you for letting me know that. Did Matt Randall already put in a play of the day? No, Pink play of the day's in. McNeese State at a pick'em. Other plays, Butler +6, Kansas -26, UConn +3, Coppin State +17.5, Boston College -6, and Davidson Coppin State under 147.5. And I'm going to copy and paste that right now. All right, thank you so much, Matt Randall. Matt Randall, Taint play of the day is in. The work play of the day is in. I love it. I love it. And America says, do not do that, Jimmy. Okay. Hey, look, you guys know just thinking out loud. All right, Antoine Seymour in the house. Rod Zawacki, Montreal money line. Love the under 2, Jimmy. I tell you what, if Yari's in goal, I would be a little concerned. And Malkin's stepping up in a big way right now. I got the under 6.5 at minus 113, and I was shocked to see a 6.5. Now, look, granted, 4 of the last 6 Penguins games have gone over. But if it's Yari Price, I just see a situation where there will be a duel, a goaltending duel of some kind. Let's see the under 6.5 if I got it right now. Under 6.5 here, you could get minus 115. So there's no minus 113s left anymore. Intertops has moved it to minus 125. I got it minus 113. I bet it at minus 115. So Bet365 has already moved it to minus 120. All right, I got to speed up. We have Teddy Covers joining us in 27 minutes. And Pie Guy says, I'm with Ann America on this one. Stay away from Nunez. Wow, Von Posting, I'll be parlaying Amanda Nunez with all my NFL action. Okay. And Max saying much closer fight than people are expecting. Cove Coleon, Baylor first half minus 2.5. Cove Coleon on also Louisville first half. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste these quickly. I love in the morning going over everybody's action and seeing how people did. And that's how we award the Vegas Gun Award for excellence in capping. All right, let's get back to this spot here. So Tristan Jarry is going to take over the starting goaltender. The last game he was in, he shut out the Coyotes 2-0. I believe that was on Friday night. That was the only blemish on the Coyotes 4-game road trip. Penguins power play 16.1%. You know, it's going to go down with Crosby not out there. Habs power play 19.0%. So basically without Crosby. Now I know that Malkin and Letang are dangerous. Don't get me wrong. But I don't really feel like the Penguins can take advantage of the Habs 75.6% penalty killing. And I do not think the Habs 19% power play can take advantage of the Penguins average penalty killing at 81.9%. 13 games Crosby has been missed. Malkin stepped up in a big way. 6 goals, 14 assists. We heard about all his offseason training. It's coming together right now. Penguins 7-3-3 without Crosby. Coming off 5-3 win at Detroit. They did not look good. We'll talk about Detroit shortly. Their roster is god-awful right now. Canadiens, since going 8 games without a win, going 0-5-3. There's my guy Richie Rich in the house, have outscored... they were getting outscored 38-20 in that 8-game losing streak. Won 2 of 3. They're well rested. They're coming off a 2-1 victory Friday against the Rangers in New York. Sure, I can understand why people like the Habs. A well-rested group right now, and we've seen the market move towards these Habs. Pittsburgh opens up at minus 171. There's been a 21-cent move towards them. Jay Vegas, Letang scores a goal, plus 230. Wow, interesting. It'd be interesting also, Jay Vegas, to follow in the footsteps of Canadian Capper, and I'd be interested to hear, although I take it back. I don't love the Pens power play without Crosby out there, but it'd be interesting to see what he would be to get a power play point, because that's what Canadian Capper hit with Mark Giordano yesterday at plus 400, and that was a good spot. Nats Nate saying Nunez is going to win in the second round. Okay. So in saying all that, I'm on the under 6.5. I'm surprised it's a 6.5. If Matt Murray was in goal, sure. But I expect Tristan Jarry to be in goal, and that's why I made the bet. I made the bet expecting Jarry will be in net. Under 6.5 minus 113. If Matt Murray is in goal, I'll still be fine with this under 6.5. I'm surprised it wasn't a 6. Let's move on to Blues Sabres. Doesn't this game remind you of the Senators Bruins yesterday? You have a much better team in the St. Louis Blues, not in form. And then you have the Sabres, a worse team, playing well on the road, coming back home. Lot here to remind us of what happened yesterday. And what happened yesterday, Senators won handily. St. Louis opening up at minus 141. They're now minus 132. So a 9-cent move towards the Buffalo Sabres. Opened up 5.5 at minus 115, slightly juiced to the over. So there's been a 4-cent move towards the under here. There's Paco Healy in the house. Doug Barnhouse says, looking at Champions League from Alex, Liverpool, Salzburg over 3.5, and Inter minus 109 from our guy, Doug Barnhouse. Love seeing you, Paco Healy. Thank you for joining us, my man. Yulmark has taken the number 1 spot over Carter Hutton. That was something that we talked about. Binnington still playing well. I mean, he's just a good goalie. 2.45 goals against average, 921 save percentage. Yulmark, 914 save percentage, as I said, to take over the number 1 spot. Sabres, 17.8% power play. It's their penalty killing that hurts them at 73.4%. The Blues power play continues to be good, even without Tarasenko, which I'm surprised. Ben Sports 24/7 says leaning with Bit in net, leaning to the Blues with Bit and goal. It's just this too many similarities to that Senators Bruins spot last night. To me, this would be a Sabres or no play for me. Rod Zawacki says, if Binnington in net, I'll take the Blues. If not, I'm on Buffalo. Binnington being solid money after a bad loss. All right, Sabres coming home after a 1-1-1 road trip. 3-2 victory in overtime on Sunday against the Oilers in Edmonton. They had points in 7 of their last 9. Jack Eichel, 13-game point streak, 10 goals, 13 assists over that period. Blues suffering back-to-back regulation losses for the first time all season. They've been outscored 8-2 in their last 2 games. 5-2 home loss versus the Leafs. Sanford leaves that game. So what's happened? So they already have Alexander Steen out, Sundqvist out, Tarasenko out for months, Sammy Blais out until January, and they still have some nice top-end talent. But now they have, with Sanford out as well, no depth. They should not be backed. The Blues are 0-8 on the power play over the last 2 games. I think the Senators are the play here. 3-game coming back after a 3-game trip. I think that the Blues have no depth. Why not take the Sabres here? I mean, the only reason why we wouldn't take them is because of Dahlin being out with a concussion. Let's just see if could be back in action for the Sabres. Rasmus Dahlin, and watched Monday's morning skate from the bench. He's still a ways away. So if he was good, and there's Jay Vegas saying Letang power play points over half at plus 375. Jay, at this point, I find that appealing. I find that more appealing than the Letang to get a goal. Now, in saying that, I've not studied that exact spot. That's just kind of off the top of my head. NHL parlay bagger like in Blues game under. Richard Rich says can't back St. Louis tonight. There's no way. I want to fade St. Louis moving forward. You lose your depth, you're in trouble. Jimmy's from Not Flush On says, Jimmy, I know it will seem crazy, but I'm putting a small bet on Titans to win Super Bowl. Got yesterday 80-1. I just tried to put a small bet on it today. It's 50-1. Wow. Got it yesterday 80-1, now 50-1. Isn't that wild? I mean, that reminds me of the Bruins to win the division. So it was when I was coming back here from Canada. So it was Sunday. So it was 9 days ago. That was at minus 155. The following day is minus 300. I looked today. It's at minus 455. And I don't like it right now. I think they're not playing well. It's Sabres or nothing to me, and I don't want to back the Sabres without Dahlin. All right, let's move on to Shark. And beating the Oilers, to me, is not that big of a deal. I don't think the Oilers are a good team. I want to fade the Oilers. There's Vincent Hawkins in the house. Dan Kelly said I was thinking about that same future. Richard says I can't back under 5.5 in St. Louis either. Head-to-head, 4-1 to the over last 5. Great stuff. Great, love having Richie Rich in our chat. Okay, move on to Sharks Predators. I don't want to get involved with the Sharks right now. Do we want to make a move on the Predators? I tell you what, the Predators' futures right now, this is a great buy low spot. But I've been saying that for a while. Beast360, what predictions have you done so far? I've only got 2 bets that I've already played. One we've gone over already. That's the under 6.5 in Montreal-Pittsburgh. Under 6.5 in Montreal-Pittsburgh. Silver Malcolm says, what do you think to the under in this Blues game? After Richie Rich's spot, head-to-head 4-1 to the over. And without the Blues depth pieces, they're going to be vulnerable. The Blues are going to have to score goals to win games. So I do not like the under 5.5. There's my guy Deerslayer Ski in the house. Okay, and Randy C not agreeing with it says you could have just sent the Titans money to me if you just want to give it away. There's our guy Randy C. Okay, Aaron Dell, will he be in goal? Martin Jones, will he be in goal? They're both shit. They're both playing terrible. Peke Rene having a bad year, 897 save percentage. Sharks 2.69 goals per game this year, 3.44 goals allowed. They are going to be better. They have the league leading penalty killing, and but this has been an ugly road trip, and they've been bad on the road all year. Bad. And solely NFL for Pick 6 this week. I'm looking forward to it. Predators looking to win consecutive home games, first time since late October. Match a season high in goals with 6 against the Devils on Saturday at home, but that was with Domingue in goal, who's probably not going to be in the NHL for much longer. Tito Flores and Richie Rich saying San Jose cannot back Jones. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I agree. Panthers, puck line, Tito Flores. I don't want the Lightning, but I don't want to fade them when they're coming off a 5-1 loss and they're angry. Predators... San Jose Predators open up at -170. They're now -168. Are the Sharks going to wake up? Are the Sharks going to wake up at some spot? That's the question. They've lost 4 straight. They've been outscored 20-6, 0-3-1 in December. Lost 5-1 on Florida on Sunday, and they're sitting there brooding. So we saw what the Jackets did when they lost, and they were just sitting there on the East Coast. They came out and they beat the Capitals. Richie Rich says leading penalty killing, but worst goalie too. I agree. There's Casey Benji's in the house. How about the Flames last night, though? I wish I had them on the -1.5. I could have had big score. I was very close to big scores last night. Very disappointed. There's Geg Harday in the house with us. Pie Guy says, I love Aaron Dell. He's made me so much money by attempting to play goalie. There we go. Right there. Yeah, you know what? This is an angry team. But talk about how bad Martin Jones has been. He allowed 13 goals on his last 76 shots in 3 starts. 829 save percent. He's a bum. Do we want to take the Predators? Maybe we do, but the Sharks, are they just going to get... They have too much character in that dressing room to keep getting shit on. Here's my second spot. I locked this in last night. Wild -1. I got a -1 at +107 because I got the money line at -150. If you want the Minnesota Wild money line right now, -154. It's not much worse. -154. I got them on the -1 line. I got a puck line -1.5 at +168. Those were both available at 5 times. This is a good Wild hockey team. 11-game point streak snapped in a 6-2 loss to Carolina Hurricanes. They're angry about that loss. Gabby's going to get them sharp and ready to go. And the Ducks are terrible. The Ducks are a fade. The Ducks have some nice pieces on defense with Fowler and Lindholm. Getzlaf is a winner, and he's a good hockey player. But that's it. This is a bad hockey team. And I know that the Wild don't have Koivu or Spurgeon, but it doesn't matter to me. The Ducks' power play is at 10.5%. So this Wild penalty killing, which has been bad all year, 78.7%, is not going to be vulnerable. Wild power play is at 19.2%. I love Dumba on the point of this power play. And this Ducks penalty killing is 76.8%. If your special teams are that shit, 10.55% power play, 10.5% power play, 76.8% penalty killing for the Ducks. You're going to lose. And I'm going to fade you. Look, Richie Rich saying Minnesota, I'd love tonight. I locked this in last year. Silver Malco says, do you like Red Wings first period +175? Silver Malco, the Red Wings have the worst roster in the National Hockey League. Their roster is way worse than the Senators right now. Without Mantha and Athanasius, we'll talk about that. No, we do nothing with the Red Wings. Nothing at all with the Red Wings. They're that bad. We only fade the Red Wings moving forward. They're that bad right now. And they're going to get the number 1 overall pick, and he's a beauty. But that's another spot. Okay, let's keep rolling along right now. So Dubnyk out of action, his wife, undisclosed medical test. It's not good. And he's with his wife, Jennifer, right now. And when he comes back, this will be, even when he just comes back to the team and not even in net, the Wild are going to go on a run. This Wild team has a ton of character. The Ducks lost Nick Ritchie to a sprained MCL on Friday. You know what? This is just a team to fade. Wild coming off a 6-2 loss. Wild -1. I locked this in last night. I like it very much. All right, Red Wings, Jets. Look, I do not want the Jets with Laurent Brossoit in net. 885 save percentage, 3.64 goals against average. Is he worse than Bernier? I mean, Bernier's terrible. I'm not entirely sure who the Red Wings are going to go in goal. But look at this. This is my own late night capping after a live line here. If you look up the Corsi ratings for this Detroit Red Wings team, their second line is ranked 31st and last in the NHL. Their third line is ranked 31st and last in the NHL. Their fourth line is ranked 31st and last in the NHL. Their first line of Bertuzzi, Larkin, and Fabry ranked 20th. in the NHL. They're terrible. You take out 6'5", 234-pound Manta, and then you take out the underachieving but still very talented 6'2" Andreas Athanasiou, and the team's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Just terrible. Viper says Jimmy fades the Red Wings but backs the Cavs. Look, I don't see how one is related to the other. Why don't you talk about me backing the Jackets first period at plus 160? Because that's taking a big dog on the first period. The Red Wings have the worst roster in the NHL, hands down. Right now they're on pace for 45 points, which will be the lowest 82-game total since the league brought in the salary cap in 2005-2006. It's going to be the worst non-lockout season since 1999-2000, when the Thrashers put up 39 points. I mean, they're just awful. The Jets are 6-1-1 in their past home games. Now, the Jets will play down to their competition. So I don't want the Jets here. Minus 243 is ludicrous. So this is just screams to me, stay off. Will there be goals? Probably. Sean Glass, Winnipeg putt line. I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust Brossoit. And the Red Wings are the worst team in the NHL. Nice, Richie Rich. I love hearing that. Richie Rich, I'd love to make some additions to the card if we can get me led in the right direction here. Let's move on to Devil Stars. Do we blindly back the Stars after getting rid of Montgomery? I can't do that because this was a team that's 17-11-3, 11-4-1 at home. Mackenzie Blackwood back in goal for the Devils. Usually we do that, right? Usually we just hammer away at the team with the new coach, but I don't know. Do we do that here with Devil Stars and Montgomery being let go? Dallas opening up at minus 198. They're now minus 196, so a 2-cent move towards the Devils. This under at 5.5. Richie Rich says Winnipeg, if anything. Winnipeg, if anything, or over 6, but I don't like this guy. I don't like it either. I got to figure out more about what's going on with this Stars spot. With Montgomery being fired. Devils opened up their 4-game road trip, 6-4 loss in Nashville on Saturday, but that was with Domingue in goal. New head coach, Nasruddin, is in big trouble. But Taylor Hall scored a goal in consecutive contests. Devin Walker thinking an under in this Devil Stars spot with Blackwood and Bishop in goal. I got to find out more about this Montgomery firing. All right, let's move on to Hurricanes-Oilers. Hurricanes-Oilers. Carolina opening up as minus 127 favorites, now minus 115. We talk about how you need to be rewarded to take a road team in the NHL. If I was given a free play, sure, I'd fire it on the Hurricanes. But I don't want a road favorite here. You can't give me a plus 100 here. It's because the Oilers are bad. The Oilers have Draisaitl and McDavid and squad as nothing else. Draisaitl on pace for 136 points. McDavid on pace for 133 points. They're just incredible, and that's why they have this power play that's unstoppable because of these two guys, but that's it. This is Carolina's first stop on a 5-game road trip. The reason why they're going to get hot right now is Sebastian Aho is hot. 5 points in that 6-2 beatdown of the Wild on Saturday. This is just a very good hockey team, and I've got futures in my pocket, and I'm thankful for them. Teravainen and Aho have become close friends, and they're rolling. Teravainen got 3 assists in that Wild game, 9-4-0 in their last 13 contests. Oilers 5-4-2 over their past 11. Wow, Richie Rich says, believe it or not, but New Jersey 5-0 last 5 at plus 1.5 head-to-head versus Dallas. Interesting. Yeah, Alexander Lopez, shocking that they did. I've got to get more information about it. I don't know why they did that. And I don't think that they would let Ben and Sagan dictate that decision. Very strange. Very strange. They're a tough team to coach, man. Hurricanes, Oilers here. Free play, I take the Hurricanes, but again, and we keep going back to that, you have to be rewarded to take road teams. And by rewarded, I mean a plus line. The Hurricanes are rolling right now. Do they come in and smash the Oilers? Do we take the Hurricanes on the -1 line? There's Brian Watson in the house. The Hurricanes are a good hockey team. I'm going to think about it. I don't know if that's enough risk reward. I mean, it is if I take them on the -1 line. I just don't like the Oilers. I don't like the Oilers. Coming off that 3-2 home loss to Buffalo on Sunday night. This will end their 4-game homestand. Okay. Let's move on to Flames Coyotes right now. Flames Coyotes. if the Coyotes, so Flames on second half back-to-back, the 5-4 win over the Avalanche. If the Coyotes were here not coming back from a successful road trip, I'd be on them. In fact, the Flames' first period is probably the play here, with the Coyotes coming back home. But again, I just keep repeating the same thing about needing to be rewarded to take road teams. I figured that the Flames probably come out fast. Let's see the Flames' first period here. Sean Glass saying pull the trigger. I don't know if I can. Casey Benji's up 3 units last night. Nice. Capitals over, Islanders over, and Flames could have won big, but Flames total stayed at 6. And America says, Yotes, look, they're a good hockey team at America, and you're going to have a great fun this year following them and backing them, especially with Keller heating up. But it's a tough spot first game back. Jin Remy, I took Canes yesterday before opening minus 113. I suggest not getting the worst. Yeah, I got it. And I understand why you pulled the trigger. They're a good hockey team. But you can get minus 112 right now at Pinnacle. So that certainly is not the worst. That's better than what you got. Minus 112, and that's his only play. Yes, Mantha is out tonight. Mantha is still out. As far as I know, all the information I have is Mantha is not coming back. But that's very important to him, no doubt about it. Minus 112. Oh, right, minus 112 on Carolina right now. I think the Carolina Hurricanes are just a better team. Feeling good about themselves. Coming into Edmonton, that fast ice. I wonder what you think about that, Richie. Rich, should we make a move on the Hurricanes? Flames, should I make a move on the Flames first period? Sean Glass like in the under in Arizona. Richie Rich says Edmonton, good spot here, Jimmy. Not great, but I liked them tonight after that poor play last game. And Rod Zawacki says the Oilers money line, they're winning tonight. There's my guy Phil 9 in the house. Phil 9! Thank you for joining us. Kemper is playing so well. 2.28 goals against average. Coyotes off yesterday. They're at Chicago. They didn't look great. They didn't look great, Chicago. And now they come back. Flames first period. I wonder if Flames first period is spot. I'm just going to leave a question mark there beside it. Okay, Leafs Canucks. Again, simple. You have to be rewarded if you take these road teams. Leafs are 7-9-0 on the road. Yeah, you know I want to fade the Canucks all I can, but the Canucks as a... Oh, shit. Did I... Yeah. Shit. That's my fault. I'm on first period. That's why I said Hurricanes minus 112. That's my fault. Carolina is minus 114 full game. So you still have the best look at minus 113, Jin Rummy. That was my fault. Sorry, it was minus 114. Devin Walker liking the under in the Edmonton game. And America says Kemper's got a temper. Kemper's got hard. He's a good goalie. I want to fade the Canucks, but you got... I mean, come on. They're 7-3-3 at home. Leafs are 7-9-0 on the road. The Nucks power play, we finally have them. All our life, we've wanted that quarterback of the power play that we had for a short period of time with an aging Paul Reinhart. But, man, we have him now with Quinn Hughes. 13 power play assists already. I mean, Doug Lidster, Dennis Kearns, Yerke Lume. We've always craved and tried to anoint, but Paul Reinhart was the only real one. And the best we're ever going to have is Quinn Hughes. In fact, to me, Pettersson's easy to play against. And, yeah, he's going to be helpful. And Brock Besser, they need to be protected. And they're good players. But Quinn Hughes, that's who you build around. You build around Quinn Hughes. Antoine Roussel back after 8 months with knee surgery, and he's put up goals, and he's brought a lot of heart. This team's different with Antoine Roussel and Jay Beagle in the lineup. These guys have heart. They're not big, but they have heart. Nucks power play, 27.2%. Quinn Hughes, finally, the answer to our dreams in Vancouver. Quinn Hughes is a guy you can win a cup with. Now, I know he's a smaller defenseman, but you get a big, tough team with Quinn Hughes able to quarterback a power play. You need to be tough in the NHL. Man, and that's the problem. The Canucks brass don't seem to understand that if you're not tough, then Besser and Pettersson get pushed around like little bitches. Matthews stepping up for these Leafs, coming off 5-2 win against St. Louis, Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues, 5-2 on the road. Canucks coming off 6-5 overtime victory against Buffalo. Miller adds a lot of leadership. I don't really know how good of a hockey player he is, but he says all the right things, and he's a good leader. Furlan back with a concussion. I said that signing was a mistake because he's going to have concussion issues nonstop, especially if you're going to ask him to protect Pettersson and Besser. So, look, I'm off Leafs Canucks. Will there be a ton of goals? Possibly. Silver Malco says Sutter is back for our Canucks tonight, too. Jimmy, if Sutter was healthy all the time, I like him. He's a quality player, but he's just a hurt bag. Let's move on to Blackhawks Knights. Look, I do not like this Knights team at all. Vegas opening up at minus 192. They're now at minus 199. I do not like this Vegas team, but I don't want to fade them after a 5-0 shellacking delivered by the Rangers. That's not when I want to back this hockey team. Total open up under 6.5 minus 112. There's been a 3-cent move to the under 6.5. And I get that. I wonder if Marc-Andre Fleury is going to get a chance to play. He's now with the team after the death of his father, but he hasn't been starting. If he's in net, I don't want the under 6.5. In fact, if he's in net, you know what? I take that back. He's going to be rusty, but when you get back in net after the death of your father, it's possible that you can step up in an enormous way. It's possible. There's Noli Knows in the house. Thank you for joining us. Noli Knows in the house. There's Chris Brady joining us as well. And Blackhawks 3-game point streak, 4-3 overtime win at Boston on Thursday, and that followed up with a 2-1 shootout victory against the Devils on Friday, and then on Sunday, 4-3 home loss. So they had the 3 games in 4 nights, so this is 4 games in 6 nights. If Robin Lehner wasn't in net, I would be on the Knights. There's the Bookie Bandit in the house. Bookie Bandit in the house. Thank you for joining us, Bookie Bandit. Vegas lost back-to-back games, 3-2 in overtime to the Islanders. They got it back. They're only 7-6-3 in T-Mobile Arena. They didn't get their 6th loss in regulation at T-Mobile Arena until January 23rd last season. Golden Knights dominated that first period, too, when they were down 2-0 against the Rangers. You have to think they come out flying here. You just have to think they come out flying here. Minus 199. I wish it wasn't Lehner in that. I'm going to wait to hear what's going on in goal. But you have to think the Knights come out flying. I have a lean towards the Knights, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait right now. I'll just leave that as a lean to the Knights on the -1 line. Right now, Newfie Roman, top plays, Minnesota Wild puck line, love it. St. Louis Blues money line, interesting. Coppin State spread, and St. John's to cover. Puck says it has to be a good spot for Vegas. It does. And now that I'm starting to think more about it, I bet you if they combine Marc-Andre Fleury in net, finally being back in the crease after his dad died, and then coming off 5-0 loss, I bet you they swarm. AM says I'm a goalie in hockey, and I've seen this before. Fleury will get a shutout. You know what? Let's wait to see. Is Fleury announced, AM? Because you're right. I completely changed after talking that out. I completely changed. Yes, Boogie Bandit, we're going to go over it quickly. Yeah, you know what? Knights first period, Knights full game. Let's wait and to see if that's announced. That makes a ton of sense. I think we can make money on that spot tonight. That just makes a ton of sense, AM. Thank you for jumping in. Love having a goalie. Nobody was more the best character in the dressing room for every team is the goalie, and love that, AM. Okay, and then Rangers Kings. Look, I almost pulled the trigger on the Kings tonight, but I can't, and I may get around to it. Is Georgiev announced in that? If it's Georgiev Campbell, I may get around to it. Richie Rich says, and Lehner did horribly in that shootout. I liked what Robin Lehner's saying in the locker rooms, in the dressing rooms, quite a bit. So, Anna Merrick says, Knights -1. In fact, if Fleury gets a shutout, I don't see this going 1-0, but it's 2-0, 3-0. And yes, Brandon Hunt, I'll say dressing room over and over and over again. It took me a while to have the confidence to say dressing room in front of you guys. It took me 2.5 years. In that shootout versus Arizona. Okay, I feel you. I still look. If Subban's in net, I'll feel a little less bullish. And so I'm going to wait. Rod Z says it's Lundqvist in net for the Rangers. That's what I thought. So I was surprised that I had Georgiev here in my notes because, and I won't take unders with him in net. If it's Lundqvist, I don't know how we don't take the Kings, especially with the Rangers coming off this 5-0 win. I was just hoping for a nice plus line. Why was I expecting when yes, the Kings are 11-18-2, but they're 9-6-1 at home, which is okay, but they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 home games. And they played better than it looked in that recent road trip, that back-to-back games of 4-3 loss to the Flames one day after a 2-1 loss at Edmonton. The Rangers feel great about themselves. They're in LA. And Lundqvist is Lundqvist confirmed? I'm gonna just quickly go to Dave. If Lundqvist is confirmed, I've talked myself into this spot. Come on, please, hurry up. My computer's a little slow right now. Okay, there we go. Coming in here. If Lundqvist is confirmed, I'm going to fade him. Okay, so I've got moves to make. I don't have Lundqvist confirmed. I wonder if you guys do. I've got moves to make on the late show. I've got more information. Richie Rich says Kings. Paul Costa says Kings 2-15 last 17 games against the East. Paul Costa, it's more like this. The Rangers go into Vegas and win 5-0. Youngest team in the NHL. What do you think they did after that? And then they go on to LA. What do you think they're doing there? I mean, I can't say that they're out partying, but I can say they're feeling really good about themselves. And I can tell you the Kings are angry at themselves. As soon as I know that Lundqvist is in net, I am going to take the LA Kings. So if we find out that Marc-Andre Fleury is back after the death of his father and the Knights coming off a 5-0 loss, I'm going to take the Knights. I'm going to hammer these bets. And the more I talk about them, the more I like them. All right, so that's what's up. And Brent Hunt says cocaine, no hookers. It's possible. You know the NHL's drug of choice is cocaine. Rangers, Kings. I've got moves to make on the late show. So that was a long NHL breakdown, man. 12 games, and I have not added any plays. I'm on the 2 bets. One I made last night, Minnesota Wild -1, and the under 6.5 in Pens Habs. There will be more bets to make. More information needs to come in, and enjoyed that cap with you guys very, very much. Let's bring in our guy, Teddy Covers, right now, representing Las Vegas, Nevada, Michigan alum in the house. Teddy Covers, how you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm frustrated, Jimmy. I really am. All I've done for the last week is to look at a card with, half winners and half losers and throw out the winners and keep the losers. Did you hear me on the show yesterday? I'm like, let's see. I lean towards Sacramento. I lean towards the Pistons. I lean towards the Thunder. But what am I going to bet? The Warriors. I know the Eagles can't be laying butt, and I talk myself. I mean, it's just one thing after the next. So I'm frustrated this morning, Jimmy. How about you?
I came excruciatingly close to some big scores. I had the Flames on the -1 line, plus 140 money line, plus 400 puck line. They're up 4-2 in the third period. They end up pushing the game in overtime. My morning show with you, I was very good. My additions in the late show ended up giving me a losing night. Lost the Booker prop by half point, but I went 3-1 on the NBA plays. The 3 NBA plays I made with you here on the morning show, I went 3-0. My morning play early with the prop for Booker lost, and then my 2 additions on the late show lost. So I can feel your frustration, but you're leading us towards cash, and I'm very interested and excited about capping this NBA card with you right now. We haven't even touched on it yet. My NBA record's still okay, not where I want it. Rafa, can we pop up the NBA record very quickly? Teddy Covers, you are seeing things clearly. That's clear in NBA. It's a clear. Sorry, I don't need it. But we see that. And let's get after this card and let's get some winners. Have you made any moves? Have you got to the window with anything on this NBA card so far?
I did not. I was modestly tempted by Philadelphia. I didn't pull the trigger. I was modestly tempted by the New York Knicks. I didn't pull the trigger on that either. So that means that'll go 2-0 tonight, Jimmy. Yeah, sure. I'm seeing things reasonably well in the NBA, unfortunately, and what's frustrating to me, and again, this will happen to someone that's been doing this for 20 plus years, as well as for newbies, but the frustrating thing for me is I'm not executing my game plan the way that I set out to execute it. In the NBA, I'm like, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're going to find your teams to bet on. You're going to find your teams to bet against. You're going to bet on and against those teams every single game. At the Utah Jazz, my number 1 bet against, I got it circled right here. I put 2 exclamation points next to it. Did I bet against the Jazz? And the plan is execute. All you got to do is bet against Utah. It's right there in black and white in front of you. And of course, last night, I lean. They were never in the game. That to me, that's what's frustrating is when I see it, when I game plan it, and then I can't execute it. That frustrates me because I should be, that shouldn't happen on a regular basis. All that said, that's rearview mirror, man. You can't let yesterday make you crazy about today. But like I said, I'm happy to talk about all these games and why I didn't pull the trigger on any of them. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Start with Wizards, Hornets. Wizards opened up at -1.5, now -2.5. This total opened up at 234 and has dropped 5 points down to 229. It's amazing that a Wizards team that's 3-9 on the road can be favored against the Hornets, 5-8 at home. Wizards scoring 118.2 points per game, allowing 122.5 points allowed, getting distribution at 28.3 assists. Pace last 5 games, second in the NBA at 104.3. Why is this total going down? It's because of the Hornets' pace last 5, 22nd in the NBA with 97.6 possessions a game. Hornets allowing 113.1, only scoring 105.4. They allowed 71 the Hornets allowed 71 second half points in that loss to the Hawks on Sunday. Ugly. That is part of a 1-3 5-game homestand. This is the last game of that homestand. They need a win bad. I know Borrego's just, come on, we got to go at least 2-3 on this homestand. PJ Washington, he exits the fourth quarter of Sunday's game with a sprained right ankle. So they allow 71 second half points at home in front of their home crowd. They're 1-3 on this homestand. They need a win desperately. Now they might not have PJ Washington, which is very important. The Wizards were just beaten up by the Clippers. They've won 1 of their past 6 games. They've allowed at least 125 points in 4 of those 5 losses. I want to take the Hornets here. I want to. I want to go against the market, but I don't think I'll get to the window. I'd love to hear what you think of this spot, Wizards-Hornets.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is the fundamental question for this ballgame. I mean, it really is. How much better is Washington than Charlotte? Because the markets are saying right here that Washington is like 5 points better on a neutral floor. I don't necessarily have that. I do think the Wizards are better. I don't think they're 5. My numbers don't have them 5 points better on the neutral floor. And Charlotte, so I mean, they're a relatively simple team to handicap in the sense of when they're a shooting team, all right? And when the Hornets face weaker defensive foes and they can get good looks from the perimeter, they're live in all these games. So I'm a little bit surprised by the Washington money. It's not my money. The under money, I understand. Borrego read him the riot act after that second half against Atlanta and talked about the fundamentals of defense and getting back on defense. And, it's not the first time. It's not the first time he said stuff like that. So we'll see if this one takes for Charlotte. They're a very young team. I can understand the under money based on what Borrego wants to do tonight. I don't really see the Wizards money making a whole lot of sense to me personally. And you talked about the spot for Charlotte, but again, this is a lottery team. They're coming into the season knowing they're not going to the playoffs. They're not competing for the 8th spot. So to say they must win this game, they've had a bad homestand, I don't think there's that level of pressure for Charlotte, and the markets are telling us that.
I think that is a good point, a salient point. I know that if I take the Hornets, I'm going to be sweating buckets, drunk with my shirt off. I do not want to be in a situation right now with the Hornets ticket in my pocket, in all honesty. There's never comfortable wins with this team. Okay, let's move on to Nuggets-Sixers. This is a really exciting game. Teddy, our Prince of the City, low bagger whom we love dearly, is going to be at this game tonight. And what he does, Philly boy, is he fades his Philadelphia teams with great pleasure. And he did last night, and with great success, I should add. And he's going to be on the Nuggets tonight at the game. Philly opening up at -4. There's a 3 now, you wager, but heavily juiced if you want the -3, -130. 4.5 at Heritage and Bovada, 4 everywhere else. This total opened up at 206. It's now up to 208.5. Sixers 12-0 at home. With that victory over the Raptors on Sunday, and what an interesting game there. The Raptors have Embiid's number. We just get in his head, and I'm surprised he's not mentally tougher. He was sat the whole fourth quarter. Philadelphia held on in that game. 11 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Tobias Harris continues to play very, very well. Matisse, Thibault, wow, 20 career best 20 points, 5 3-pointers, I believe. Ben Simmons 16, 11, and 9. But Embiid, man, God, what are they going to do with him? But this is going to be an interesting spot up against Jokic. Nuggets pace last 5 games, 28th in the NBA. 28th. Sixers pace last 5, 10th in the NBA. The Nuggets already beat the Sixers earlier this season in Denver. Denver lost 105-102 on the road against Brooklyn. Jokic is playing better, but this defense allowed 66 points in the paint. And we're talking about a Nuggets team that's holding teams to NBA low, 101.9 points per game. You have Millsap and Barton. I know Millsap and Barton are great defenders. They don't clog up the paint at all, especially Barton. I mean, he's the perimeter defender. What do we think about Prince of the City backing these Denver Nuggets? And you've already talked about liking the Sixers, so let us know why you didn't get to the window of the Sixers. And then what do you think about this total that's gone from 206 to 208?
So Denver's lost 4 of their last 5. Okay, they're not playing good ball right now. Every one of those losses, by the way, stayed under the total. Their issues are pretty much exclusively right now on the offensive end of the court. But what really concerned me even more than just the losses, they've been getting clobbered on the boards. Twice in the last 4 games, they've had a double-digit rebounding deficit. One time it was a 20-plus rebound deficit. And that's effort. Denver doesn't feel to me like a team that's ready to flip the switch. And the markets are very high on the Nuggets. Make no mistake about it. Denver's defensive stats, like Utah's, are really strong. And the wise guy market tends to gravitate towards teams that have the stronger defensive numbers, which Denver has, hence the relatively cheap point spread ranges. Philly's playing good ball, and you talk about a team that hasn't lost at home. They haven't lost at home. It's a home court edge. There's a couple of home court edges that in years past haven't been worth all that much. Miami's one. We'll talk about in a minute. That wasn't worth anything in years past, and this year they're near perfect at home. Philly's another one where historically in recent seasons I've given the Sixers like 2 points. Home court avenging, nothing dramatic. This year that's been worth a little bit more. So why don't I pull the trigger on the 76ers? That's the key question here. What is it about Philly and about the matchup that made me concerned? And the matchup is Denver's defense, man. And the fact that the Nuggets already beat them once, and the fact that Nuggets have hung really tough in this series, and the fact that Nuggets have lost 2 in a row, and they're not a losing streak team, and this is their circle the wagons game. And Philly's won 2 in a row, and they've won 5 out of 6, and they're 6 out of 7. And I just worry about the little bit of fat and happy for the Sixers. So I didn't pull the trigger. Lean Philadelphia.
Yeah, the only thing about the fat and happy thing is I'm sure Embiid is extremely angry. So as the other Sixers will feel good about themselves, he's the straw that stirs the drink, and I expect him to be angry out there. And Jokic, we've talked, and Junior Brown's talked about Jokic not really being in the kind of shape that you want. You want to run Embiid into the ground, but Embiid knows not to follow you out into the perimeter. I don't know what to do there at this point. Dan Kelly says parlay Denver in the under. Wow. Okay, so Dan Kelly backing Denver. Interesting. Prince of the City says Philly got smacked by the Knicks and then won without Baby Huey. Gas Station Sushi says Nuggets lack leadership. Dan Kelly says Denver 4th and last game of trip. Philly 3-4, but not last night. And 3rd and last game of stand. And Michael Jordan, Denver is locking in Denver. Prince of the City says without Josh Richardson is key. And that makes sense. Okay.
That Josh Richardson injury is really important to talk about, okay? Because it may well be key, all right? And here's a guy, and you're going to find this on just about every team. Doesn't move the needle for the public, doesn't move the needle for the media, doesn't move the needle at all for the point spread. And yet, when he gets hurt, all of a sudden the team's not nearly as good. And you'll see this all the time in the NBA, where the key role player, all of a sudden he misses 2 weeks, and wow, guess what? They just lost 5 out of 6 against the spread. when you find those little guys that are meaningful ATS, but the markets don't adjust to, that's the way to make money in the NBA, period. So, astute observation.
No, it's a very important point. And he can lock people down, and the perimeter he can defend so beautifully. Wow, very, very interesting game. Okay, I've made no moves, and neither has Teddy at this point. Let's talk Hawks, Heat, next spot, Atlanta at Miami. Miami opening up at -9. There are 8.5s on the board here at Heritage, and BetOnline is total opened up at 218. There's now 218.5s at a few of the books. Hawks pace last 5, 15th in the NBA. Heat pace last 5, 29th. In the NBA, just 96.1 possessions a game. Heat beat the Hawks twice in a home-and-home in October, 112-97 at home. Trae Young suffered his sprained ankle. So then 2 days later, they beat up on the Hawks without Trae Young. Trae Young rolling right now. 39 and 30 in his last 2 outings. He's averaging 34.4 points a game over his last 8 games. God, very, very good shooter. Now, the Heat have their share of shooters as well. Hawks have lost the first 5 of those 8 games that Young was averaging 34.4, but have since won 3 straight. So we talked about them lighting up Charlotte on Sunday in the opener of this 3-game trip. So they're feeling good about themselves, and Young is rolling right now. Kendrick Nunn deserves a shout-out. It was our opening graphic in the beginning of the show, but 15.3 points per game. It's been 10 seasons since an undrafted rookie's averaged 15 points or more, Reggie Williams in 2010, and 70 years since one averaged more than Nunn's current 15.3. That'd be Frankie Bryan in 49-50. Very interesting spot here, Hawks Heat. What do you lean towards side total wise?
So I'm not betting against Miami right now, okay? But I'm not going to lay this price with the Heat. And we've seen it already on this homestand, all right? This was not a strong home court at any point over the last decade. I mean, it really hasn't been. Again, it's usually like a 2-point home court, point and a half, 2.5. Not a home court that you're like, okay, I'm not stepping in front of Miami at home. They've been money losers. They've been poor favorites. I made my money with Spoelstra over the years as on the road as a road dog. He's been really good in that role. And all of a sudden, the Heat come out this year and win and cover their first 8 at home. 8-0 straight up, 8-0 against spreads. You're like, wow. And then last 2 games on this homestand against the Wizards, they're laying 9.5. Don't cover there. Against Chicago, they're laying 7 in the Chicago line. Again, I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's short. That smells short. It smells bad, and it was bad. The Bulls were right there in it, and the Miami won in overtime. Did not cover the number. So that 8-0 start is now 0-2, their last 2. Even though they won the games, they failed to cover the spread. And you look at what they've done for, their last 5. You have 2 overtime wins, a win by 3 over Brooklyn, a win by 9 over Washington. Not putting teams away. And I wouldn't necessarily expect that to change, So we have Atlanta coming off a win. Atlanta, who's not playing a whole lot of defense on a regular basis. Atlanta, who gave up 130 to Brooklyn and 158 to Houston. I can see them getting lit up in this game, and I can see them hanging tough throughout. And that, for me, is a clear recipe for passing.
Yeah, man, 50 Cal Davis is if Atlanta covers the game, it's going to go over. Thinking that the Hawks staying close to this game correlates with an over. I find this a tricky spot. All right, let's move on to the last game on this card, being Knicks Blazers. Blazers open up at 8.5 point favorites. There is a 9 now. Bookmaker and Bovada. This total opened up at 218 and shot up 5 points to 223. M. Williams like in the over in the Hawks and Heat spot. Knicks pace last 5, 19th in the NBA. Blazers pace last 5, 12th in the NBA. Knicks lost by a single point in the Mike Miller's debut, 104-103. Julius Randle missed those 2 free throws. Not to be trusted, Julius Randle. New York lost 7 games by 20 or more points, but what's going to change now that Mike Miller is at the helm? It's what you have to ask yourself, an important capping question. Portland the stop is the first of a road trip. Knicks are going to play 4 games in 6 nights, and Blazers coming off a 108-96 home loss to Oklahoma on Sunday night. They shot 36% from the field, 9 of 33 from three-point range. Lillard, 8 of 24 from the field, 2 of 12 from three-point range. Carmelo Anthony, 4 of 18. He scored 9 points. Bazemore, 3 of 11. McCollum, 8 of 21. Is this a get-right spot for the Blazers here? Teddy, break it down, Knicks Blazers.
Are there get-right spots for the Blazers right now? They had a little bump. And I mean a little bump. When Carmelo first came into the lineup and, you got a Western Conference Player of the Week. And that was then and this is now. We're talking about a team that's been a bad favorite. I got them, with 3 point spread covers all year, laying 3 points or more. A good 33% ATS in this role. I'll start with I don't trust Portland to cover this number, okay? And that's where I'm kicking myself about the Eagles last night. Your handicap has to start with, can this favorite be laying? Or whatever, that's the way I start. That's the way my process started, is can I trust this favorite to lay? And Portland's not a favorite I trust to lay. I understand the spot. I understand they're coming off a bad loss. I understand nobody shot well. I understand the Knicks don't play defense. I understand all of that. I don't trust Portland to lay a price. So it's Knicks or pass a priori. And, you have the new coach bump. They played hard. They did. They played hard in the first game of the Mike Miller era. Now they got to do it, in Portland and hang tough for 4 quarters. I'm doing my best not to lose money with the worst NBA teams. That's why I'm not playing Charlotte plus tonight, and that's why I'm not playing Knicks plus tonight. The Knicks have been mediocre ATS. I'm not convinced that continues indefinitely. But if I had to play, it'd be Knicks or pass. I don't think Portland can lay this price.
Yeah, and this total shooting up. Do you agree with the opening at 218.5 at Pinnacle, now 223?
I'm not. Maybe they're thinking Melo's going to go off against the Knicks. I mean, I really don't know what the. I don't think the Knicks want to play fast. Their goal is to keep Lillard out of the paint and throw everything at him that they can. But I mean, can the Knicks design an effective defensive game plan at this stage? I'm not convinced that that's the case. And if Portland pushes, then and this may well be this move, a significant move. May well be a reaction to some tidbit out there that Portland's going to push tonight after being fairly passive in their last contest, and that merits the move towards the over. I didn't run into that info, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's out there.
All right, no moves have been made for me in NBA, and either with Teddy at this point. No moves have been made. So we'll see if that changes throughout the day. Let's move on to NCAA basketball. Teddy covers, have you made any moves on this NCAA basketball card?
I have, but I want to ask you a question first.
Sure.
You've been through the card yourself. You just went through the card a second time with me. You say, I just don't see anything. I don't like anything. But I'm going to look at it again. And I don't argue with that conceptually. All that said, no, I mean, it's a 4-game NBA card, man. You don't see it. Tomorrow's a new day. You don't have to force NBA action on any given day or any given week. So that's just my, I wouldn't play anything if I was you, personally, unless the markets move significantly between now and then.
The one thing that I find appealing is what Rico Money's angle is, the Hornets early. Borrego is going to demand some accountability. And you have the Wizards coming off a game against the Clippers that was a high-profile spot. And then going into Charlotte, sleepy Charlotte, where there's going to be 12,000, 11,000 fans in the crowd. That's the only thing that I was just kind of, I need to sit with for a little longer. But it would be the Hornets early. What do you think of because Rico Money, great capper, what do you think of his thought process there about backing the Hornets early?
I certainly wouldn't talk him out of it. It's not anything that piqued my interest. So good luck. I hope it cashes.
Okay. Let's keep rolling into college basketball, Teddy. We have Bryant University, Fordham already off, and that was my fault. in my head, I was like, okay, I'll ask him about that right off the top so we could hear, but my fault there. What moves have you made on this card? Big game with Maryland, Penn State. A big game with Louisville, Texas Tech. There's some nice-looking games out here, and then we have Butler, Baylor late this evening. Have you made any moves on this card?
I have. I took, and there, the Jimmy V Classic tonight, obviously, Louisville, Texas Tech, Indiana, UConn. I took UConn plus against Indiana. Indiana looked pretty lost on the highway against Wisconsin the other night. And UConn has been nothing but an undervalued commodity from day one this year. I got a 2.5 in my pocket. The market's at 1.5 now. I think UConn wins the game. So that's one that absolutely stood out to me. Where I'm still a little bit surprised by the number, but I'm not that surprised by the number because UConn came into the season and their Ken Palm rankings aren't as high, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm a Huskies believer on the defensive end of the court. And of course, defense travels. So I think UConn wins that game in the Jimmy V Classic. I put some St. Joe's in my pocket. In these Big Five rivalry games in Philadelphia, you just take the dog, hold your nose, and then do what you do. The last time either of in Temple and St. Joe, of course, they play every year. Last time either team won by double digits was like 2012 or 2013. It tends to be a competitive game, and I'm just betting the series there. I could care what the power ratings are. Those games, you take the points, especially when it's double digits. So I got St. Joe's in my pocket, betting number 603. I got them plus 12.5. The markets are 11.5 right now. Again, I think it's going to be a single-digit game. If you didn't get the best of it, I certainly wouldn't talk you out of making a smaller-sized wager at a lesser number. I bet against New Mexico State. I'm not the Aggies on the highway are not a team to be laying double digits. And I know that the Pioneers aren't any good. I understand that. And if I get my ass handed to me in this game, so be it. But I think New Mexico State's priced in the wrong range right now. I thought they were priced in the wrong range over the weekend where they were chalk in a game that they lost on the road. Well, it was a neutral site, but it was against Washington State. And I think this is priced a good notch too higher than I thought it should be. BYU, minus 7.5. That's 8 right now. Nevada's been living on three-point shooting. I don't know that that's going to work in Provo. That three-point shooting's been through the roof. I trust BYU to hit three-pointers a lot more than I trust Nevada to hit three-pointers tonight. And I trust BYU to hit their free throws more than I trust Nevada to hit their free throws. And I think BYU wins that one comfortably. So, there's my take. St. Joe's, BYU, Denver, UConn.
I like it. So we have UConn plus 2.5, St. Joe's plus 12.5, Denver plus 11, or did you get a hook on the Denver spot?
I got 11.5 with Denver, and you can still get 11.5 with Denver.
11.5, and what did you get with BYU?
7.5. That's 8s right now.
7.5, beautiful.
I laid 7.5. 8 is widely available. 8's everywhere right now, but 7.5 was everywhere, and less than an hour ago. Beautiful.
And also Mark Unkefer, making sure that I'm pronouncing his name right. And anybody whose name I'm not pronouncing right, please, I'm going to be saying it over and over and over again. I don't want every time I say it to annoy you. So let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Mark Unkefer. Take the H out. Okay, I've got it. Unkefer. Questions coming in. Chris Brady liking your action on today's card, but questions coming in wanting to hear your take on Maryland, Penn State. That opened up at -1, and it's pretty much a pick'em everywhere else. Or it's become a pick'em, I should say. Maryland, Penn State. You have a feel here?
I could only lay with Maryland in that game. I'm a Maryland believer. I didn't pull the trigger. I think it's going to be a tough. That to me is a coin flip type of game. It really is. But if I was going to play it, it'd be Terps or pass. And again, I pick them where you're legitimately getting the best of the number in a game where they were 1.5 or 2 earlier. Wouldn't talk you out of that, but it really feels like a last possession type of ball game. And when it's priced by pick 'em, and I think it's going to come down to that, I don't usually get involved. Terps or pass. I'm a Maryland believer.
Terps or pass. And then the other marquee game is Louisville in action tonight at Texas Tech. Texas Tech. Louisville opening up at -7, now -6. A couple 6.5s on the board. What do you think of number 1 ranked Louisville here tonight?
Under. Here's your under. Louisville, I'm a believer in Louisville. Did you see what they did to Michigan? Michigan's a really good offensive team. What was that game? 58-43. Texas Tech doesn't want to push. To me, that game screams under. And, of course, it's already been bad. It opened as high as 130.5. Now it's 126.5. I still would play. I mean, I'm not going to recommend anyone gets 5 points the worst of it. But that's the way totals are sometimes. You're not going to get the very best of it. And the markets move very quickly. But if I had to play a game, I would absolutely expect a defensive scrum in this one. I don't think we're going to see a lot of transition baskets. I don't think we're going to see a lot of easy looks in a half court. So unless it's a foul fest, which it could be, but if they referee it reasonably, that game stays under.
Then we have the Butler-Baylor spot just before your Connecticut look this evening. Baylor opening up at -5. It's come to 5.5 at Pinnacle, 6 at the other books. Total opened up at 130, now 131. You have a feel here?
I really had no sense for that game at all. I spent about 2 minutes with it and moved on. I'm not sure that I'm buying Butler's hot start, and the markets aren't really either. In terms of them being a top 25 team. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm saying at this level, Baylor's at this level. Okay, Baylor's a legit top 20 team. I'm not sure Butler's there. So if I had to play it, it would be the favorite. But it's not one that I wasn't ready to stand in front of Butler yet. You know what I mean? The time will come, but it wasn't today for me.
All right, time will come, but not today. I got you, Dave Chemilio. See, we can do this. I don't want to annoy you guys every time I say your name. All right, let's move into college football right now. Already heard that Teddy liked Buffalo. That opened up at 4.5. It's now at 5.5 or 6. Buffalo, Charlotte. That takes place Friday, December 20th. On Saturday, December 14th, we have Army Navy playing each other, and our very own Noli Knows, the man who's making unders great again, is liking the under here. It opened up at 41, now at 41 at Bookmaker, but 40.5 everywhere else. What do you think of Noli taking the under? I know that historically it's been a nice look. What do you think Army Navy under on Saturday, December 14th?
Yeah, I mean, the Service Academy games tend to be very low scoring. Because obviously they know what the other team's running far better than most of their opponents do. And you don't see the big chunk plays in these games as often as you see them when, Army plays Hawaii or, Navy plays East Carolina or, the moral equivalent thereof. So the under makes a ton of sense. At 40.5, 41, that's real low, I mean, you're praying that it's again. And the one other thing with Army Navy is that it's not going to be a game with 15 possessions for each side. The drives will be time consuming, so it all makes sense for unders. But to me, that total's a good notch or two lower than I'd be comfortable betting an under in this one. Clear pass for me. I don't see any significant edges in this one.
When we look at market moves in these bowl games, we've seen people heed your advice or your thoughts, at least, with USC. Iowa opening up as a 2.5-point favorite, now a 1.5-point favorite. We've also seen a 2-point move with Texas A&M. Pinnacle opened that up at -4 at -117. It's now -6 at -107. Do you agree with the 2-point move towards Texas A&M up against Oklahoma State?
So I can certainly understand it. I don't know that I agree with it, but I can I mean, A&M beat all the weaker teams that they were supposed to beat this year. But they also faced, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama. I mean, they played everybody. And it was a little bit of a nightmare for them in those step-up games. And at the end of the season against LSU, they just did, there was nothing left. They didn't have another step-up game in them. This isn't a step-up game. And Okie State is not an elite team. They're good. They're not elite. And in theory, it's... Again, I can totally understand the move towards A&M. a team whose season didn't end on the note they wanted it to, but is more than capable of beating a team like Oklahoma State. These early sharp moves, stand in front of them at your risk. At your own risk. I'll leave it at that. I totally understand the money on the Aggies, although I haven't bet it yet, and I'm not convinced I will.
Interesting. LaShare Hughes, again, LaShare, let me know if I'm pronouncing that first name wrong. Wondering about this Notre Dame spot. We have questions coming in. I'll get to yours right after, Paco, my man. Iowa State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame opening up at 3.5. There is a 4 on the board now at Bookmaker. This total at 57. What do you think of Iowa State, Notre Dame?
I have really mixed feelings on the game. I really do. Part of me thinks that Iowa State is capable. I don't like betting teams that were playing for a championship a year ago, and this year they're on a 9 a.m. start at the Camping World Bowl. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get there with Notre Dame. I'm not. I'm not convinced that Iowa State's going to pique their interest the appropriate way. I don't love the comments from the Irish. And Cyclones have lost more than their fair share of tight competitive games this year, but they're a defensive-minded underdog with a quarterback who makes plays and a coach that we like, getting points. So my initial lean is probably taking the points with Iowa State. I haven't pulled the trigger. Not that close. The only thing I was really close to pulling the trigger on, and I may well do when we get off air, you're going to hate this, but Sparty falls into a system. Michigan State falls into a system that has been extremely profitable in bowl seasons against Wake Forest. I want to see what the Wake QB situation is. You can find a 3 right now with the Spartans. And the system is really simple. It's as simple as it gets. Teams that are 25% ATS during the regular season and make bowl games, I think it's 16-2 ATS the last 18 drives. There's no bandwagon. Okay? Nobody wants them. And those teams tend to perform well. So at 3, I'll get to the window with Sparty. Haven't done it yet, but that may well be in my pocket before we meet tomorrow.
Sparty at 3, interesting. We're going to talk about that game much more as we're moving forward. Paco Healy, our Paco Healy, his home, great home of San Diego. He is our San Diego expert, and he wants to know what you think about the San Diego State, Central Michigan under 40.5. Let me move over to that game. That's on Saturday, December 21st. It opened up at 41, so there's been a slight move. Let me see this move to the under at Pinnacle, how many cents it is exactly before we get over to Teddy. It opened up under 41 minus 108. It's now under 41 at minus 113. Bookmaker hanging the hook at 41.5. What do you think about trying to get under this total with Central Michigan and San Diego State?
So conceptually, it's really hard to see these two teams marching up and down the field, scoring touchdowns in bunches. When we talk about what's the strength of the Aztecs, their defensive line blows everybody up, and their secondary is really good. Talk about what's the strength of the Chippewas. Their defensive line blows everything. I don't know if their secondary is as good, but their defensive line is an elite level unit. Problem is, we're talking about a total of 41. And we are talking about, we're not necessarily dynamic offenses, but offenses that can move the football. These aren't 3-and-out offenses on either side over and over again. And it felt like San Diego State left so many points on the board. Over and over again, they would just find ways to not get points or not get touchdowns. They'd be first and goal at the 1-inch line, and they'd end up, settling for 3, and then the field goal would go wide. I mean, they had game after game scenarios like that. The Fresno State game there was like 40 of those. They could have won that game by 6 touchdowns, and they ended up, being a sweat. So to make a short story long, the under here makes sense. I worry about unders that make sense in bowl season, and I probably won't get to the window with this one.
And Paul Costa, we will have to hit your question tomorrow. We've got lots of time before these bowl games, and we have Teddy Monday through Friday. Rod, just hit me on Twitter. Tuesdays are actually a really bad day for me because I have the Audible today at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I don't really have a chance to breathe. But Wednesday, Thursday are really good days for me to connect. Teddy Covers, thank you so much for joining us. A little recap of Teddy's NCAA basketball action is on UConn plus 2.5, St. Joe's plus 12.5, Denver plus 11.5, and BYU minus 7.5. Teddy Covers, thank you so much for joining us. Follow this man on Twitter at Teddy_Covers, and he can be found here Monday to Friday every morning, and we love having him. Thank you so much for joining us, Teddy. Let's have a big day. Let's get back here tomorrow feeling really good about ourselves.
I like the concept, Jimmy. I like it a lot. Best of luck, guys. Always a pleasure hanging out with the low baggers and Jimmy in the mornings. Look forward to doing it again tomorrow. Good luck tonight, guys.
There he is, Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers on UConn plus 2.5, St. Joe's plus 12.5, Denver plus 11.5, and BYU minus 7.5. I had a question come in from Brant Hunt. Says, if you had a top 2 hockey plays today, what would they be? And in fact, Brant, I now want to wait to hear what's going on with the goalie situation in Vegas, because it would change. Now, if on Twitter, look, I've already locked in 2 plays and only 2 plays. So, but the more we talked out the Knights situation, the more excited I got about first period and full game. I would do a -1 or -1.5 full game, and I would do a -0.5 first period. I'd be also interested in some shot total overs, but I'll look into those props. So that's the only thing. But my 2 plays that I've already locked in, Minnesota Wild -1. I like that very much. And in fact, looking back, I now kind of wish I had just made it a puck line play, but I understand why the -1 came out. And we have enough data now, enough stats for me to put out the breakdown of where we're succeeding. And the only thing I'm really succeeding with in NHL this year so far is unders at this point. And I'm on the under 6.5 in Habs Penguins. So, but I'm telling you, if Marc-Andre Fleury's in net tonight, I went full 360 instead of being like, or 180, I should say, but instead of being worried about him being rusty, I was like, oh man, this team is going to play for him if he's in. So Paco Healy says Fleury's going to play. Fleury's going to play. Let me just see that if that's log. You know what? I'll do that. We got to put a bow on this show. We have Jamming with J Money here in 27 short minutes. Junior Brown, J Money, Jordan Sharp. I absolutely love that show. But man, I just find that extremely appealing, Paco. So that would be my spot. Rod Zawacki saying Fleury in net Vegas -1.5. I also think that we should make a first period Vegas play, because they're going to come out flying after that 5-0 loss, and with Fleury in net. Fleury in that Zombie Pie. I love having Zombie Pie in the house. Much love to all you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guest, Teddy Covers. We have Maxwell Smart back in action with this giant, it's not that giant, with the college basketball card that we can break down each and every game, which is my favorite. I think we do a really nice job when we can do that. So join us. Also Audible, 4 p.m. Eastern with Donnie Rightside and myself. Pie Guy says, do we back the Devils now? I gotta look more into that, Pie Guy. I'm very excited. That's like the most exciting thing I get to look forward to. It's like, oh my God, what did Montgomery do? Thank you, Brant Hunt. I have no show without you guys. It means the world that you're opening. Brant Hunt, John Salazar, Pie Guy, Steve Overlay, Casey Benjis, Zombie Pie, Rod Zawacki, Top Set, Steve Farewell says, I'm surprised to see San Diego State at -6, now dropping to 4.5. Central Michigan couldn't win versus Miami of Ohio. Carlos Peroge, Mark Unkefer. It feels good to know that I'm pronouncing that right now. And David Chamilio. God, that feels good. Much love to you guys, but most importantly,
Leche, a los bookmakers.